Smoking, grilling, getting hot and hotter, sous vide and chilling from fire and water.
Welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast. I'm Darren, I'm your host, of course, and today I got a really special guest. You probably heard of him as Big Green Craig, but now it's just Chef Craig Tabor. He's been around for a long time, cooking, barbecuing, doing all kinds of outdoor events. So Craig Tabor, welcome.
Hey Darren, how are you?
Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us where you live, who you are, where you're from.
Darren, Craig Tabor. I'm currently outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Father, got two beautiful children. Just celebrated number 10-year-old Addison yesterday, and she loves cedar plank salmon. So we cooked up some good salmon for her yesterday. But yeah, outside of Atlanta, I would love to cook full time, but right now I'm in sales for a wire and cable manufacturer. That's my 9 to 5, and then the cooking hobby is everything else.
Yeah, I think a lot of us do that. I mean, I can respect that, having to work, put your passion on hold so you can make a little, support the family. But so you've been cooking for a long time. What got you started to, your old moniker, which you just recently changed from? You were known as Big Green Craig. So how did you start out with that?
Yeah, so I'll take you back to the very beginning. I had always owned a smoker and a grill, but I owned I'm afraid to say it. I did own a gasser. I started off on a gasser, and I was cooking your standard stuff, burgers and steaks and chicken breasts and just your standard, what I would call gas grill type of cuisine. And then I had an offset pit. I knew that if I wanted, barbecue for the game on Sunday, that I was up all night long, adding wood, adding sticks, all night Saturday. And it just got to the point where, man, it was just difficult to do, and it was time consuming. And my neighbor sort of turned me on to the Big Green Egg, much like the Big Green Egg world is. You always hear about it from someone else. He says, "Yeah, I got this green ceramic thing. I load it up with fuel. I set it and forget it, and I wake up and barbecue." And I'm like, wow, that seems a little too easy. And so I stumbled across a sale on Craigslist and brought home my first egg. Started challenging myself. It got to the point where I got, I could call it my rib and my pork butt, my shoulder cooker. And it got to the point where, I'm like, well, they call this thing the ultimate cooking experience. What am I missing out on? And so I started challenging myself every single time that I would fire it up to cook something different, unique. If you go through some of my social media feed, you don't see a whole lot of retreads. Everything is brand new, different. I'm not the guy that, this is how I like to do things, and it's the same old every single time. And just I'm not a creature of habit, so I like new things. If we have something and the family really liked it, I'm like, yeah, it is good, and let's move on. Let's move on and try to make it different, and maybe use a different method or different sauces and sides, and just a little bit that way. But
did you do that? Now, did you do that before you started barbecuing? Did you usually cook in the house in the regular kitchen before you started doing that, or was it something that just because you got the Big Green Egg, you wanted to see what you really could do?
No, I cooked. I could make a heck of a grilled cheese, and that was about the extent inside the house. Once I got the grill, that's when I really started teaching myself how to do things. There's a lot of online tools, how-tos. There's all kinds of chefs that have series right now. One of my favorites right this second is the master class, where, Gordon Ramsay would teach you anything. And, so I really like to learn. I like to learn new techniques. I like to put them into play. Once you learn to make a sauce or something, that's they call it a mother sauce for a reason. You're supposed to take that sauce and change it and make it into your own flavor and your own profile. So things started to escalate, into what I would call, what I would deem now extreme grilling. Grilling to the point where you're not grilling your standard items, but where you're grilling desserts, and you're grilling more upscale. Chefy is, I know chefy's not a word, but I'm going to use it, more chefy style.
More advanced. Just say more advanced. That's a good
one. more advanced. Yeah, more advanced. And so things, snowballed as things normally do in a hobby. And I started competing and started putting together teams and started winning, and things really started taking off from there.
Well, yeah, I kind of along your same line. I like to experiment. I like to try new things. I like to put my own spin on a lot of stuff. I've been cooking since I was in my teens, because I started working in restaurants, but I've always taken recipes and I look at them as a guideline, and then I kind of put my own spin to it. I've just always been that way. And once you kind of figure out how the different, flavors and spices and seasonings work, and what you can do with the different cooking methods, it's always fun to play around, just see, hey, just what exactly can I do? So I really respect that. But to me, like you got that bug when you started with your grill. It got you to expand even more. And I did that too. I mean, I've always been doing barbecue, but like you, it was, at a gasser or just a charcoal grill doing burgers and dogs, until about 20 years ago. I really started getting into smoking and grilling. And then when I got my, ceramic grill, I really, like you, I started trying to figure out how much of the stuff I cooked indoors I could take outdoors. So is that kind of, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said said this to somebody the other day, and all of us guys who are barbecue cooks or barbecuers or grillers or whatever classification you want to put on it, we're all, I like to play with fire. We're all like pyromaniacs that just, got hungry one day, and we had to eat anyway, so we may as well fire something up and throw meat on fire, and that sort of caveman style aspect.
Yeah, and then like you said, though, then you get kind of bored with doing the same thing over and over, and then you got to go, well, how can I change this up, or what else can I put on the grill and do it just a little bit different, and make something that nobody's ever made before. That's kind of why I started mixing sous vide and barbecue, because when I first started playing around with sous vide, I said, you know what, it would work really well with barbecue because of the way, they're both kind of low and slow. And one, I could make a medium rare brisket, using sous vide, and then toss it out on the smoker and turn out something that nobody could ever do before with just a smoker or with just a sous vide, because you combine that smoke crust with the medium rareness that you can get from the sous vide. So, I mean, that's what I really like to do. And that's kind of like what it sounds like you started kind of playing around with, and it got you addicted.
Yeah. What it started off as, everybody, for Mother's Day or Father's Day or birthdays or holidays, where are we going to go? What are we going to have? And in my family, it's, well, what are we going to get or source or buy that we've never cooked before, and go in that direction. And, to your point, sous vide, it's another tool in your tool bag, your toolbox. The thing about it is, the Big Green Egg is a fantastic, I'm going to call it like a Leatherman tool, or maybe even Swiss Army knife. It's a fantastic tool in the sense that you can do every single thing that you need done with this one Leatherman tool. It's got a flathead screwdriver and a pair of pliers and a set of wire cutters and a pocket knife, and it can sear and it can bake and it can smoke and it can grill and it can do everything. But what I finally came to realize is, yes, it can do all those things, but sometimes the regular flathead screwdriver is the right tool to have. And so, talking about sous vide is a fantastic option. I've been playing around with it, and somebody said, well, my only concern with sous vide is, I can't get any smoke on my protein or whatever I'm cooking. And so I ended up I turned to liquid smoke. And, the thing about sous vide is that's true to a point, but you can always smoke something and then reheat it in the sous vide. That's what I like to do as far as brisket goes, or I call it freezer pork, but leftover pork that I've vacuum sealed and jam it into the bag, and it works fantastic to as a reheat type of thing. But to your point, a 72-hour brisket that's medium rare, man, I throw that guy on the meat slicer and shave it super thin, and that's fantastic sandwich meat.
Yeah. Well, I could instruct you on how to do a brisket sous vide and also get some smoke, but there's just like with any cooking method, there's little things that you learn, that it's not just always what it looks like on the face, because you can take a brisket, cook it sous vide, and then chill it down all the way to pretty much refrigeration temperatures, then put it back on the smoker, and then you got plenty of time for it to get that bark and smoke. It's not going to be, exactly like it would have been on the smoker alone, but it's going to get pretty damn close. You can get a pretty good smoke profile on a brisket when you chill it down before you put it on the smoker. And that's some of these little tips and tricks I like to experiment and play around with, and kind of show people that, is it going to totally replace, a brisket that's been on the smoker for 12 hours, 100%? No, but it's something you can create that's totally different, or, just a little bit different. I mean, that's what I like to do. I don't like to do things like you were saying in the beginning, the same thing every single time. You like to try and experiment and do things, and then go, hey, I can do it this way, I can do it that way, and still get a good result. But so let's talk about the big Green Craig era. What started you out being called Big Green Craig? Because you did a lot of events and stuff like that as Big Green Craig. So what got you going into that?
Yeah, so starting off with, I say start off, but my first expensive smoker, I would call it, was the Big Green Egg, and it got to the point, like I said, where I was challenging myself to cook different things. People started noticing I was the guy sort of in social media world posting what I was making for dinner before it was the cool thing to do. Now
everybody's on Instagram.
Now everybody's doing it, and my wife sort of said, hey, listen, why don't you take that somewhere else? And so I created the moniker. My buddy actually came up with the name. He said, let's do Big Green Craig. And they were doing a logo and stuff. And it was, the play on word is genius. Now there's Big Green, whoever, Ralph, and everybody's sort of using that, but the play on words was fantastic. And went to Twitter started growing. And it's just, I tell everybody, man, I get messages all the time, how do I increase my following? Man, just stay the course, man. There's no set road to take. Just do your thing, and people will start noticing and take note and want to be a part of the project. And things started growing. Somebody turned me on to Instagram, things started growing again. Then all of a sudden we decided, I was going to captain a team to enter a couple of the National Egg Fest. We did that for 3 years in a row, and won the second and third year back to back. Kind of neat. That's really when a lot of doors started opening for me. I started becoming like the demo guy, the egg demo guy. And it was fantastic, man. It took me all over the world. Grilled in St. Martin. I've been to Canada. I've been all over the United States. And really and truly, man, it's just grilling and demoing and showing things, showing people different things to make. like I smuggled. I say I smuggled. It's easy, but I brought some grits with me to Toronto one time. Man, those guys never saw grits. They had no idea what grits were, and they're like, what is this tasty substance? You know, how do I get any? And the Canadians love American style cooking and barbecue, and they loved to see a barbecue shrimp and grits, and so started doing that. Things started growing. I started, work as things grow and doors started opening, companies reach out. They want you to write a recipe or be on a podcast or, do some photography work for them or, hey, we want you to, test this grill out. We want you to, we want your honest and true opinion. And the thing about it, my project every project's different. But what I really try to keep my project focused on is high quality content. And there might be times, and there has been times when somebody says, hey, we want to send you our newest, widget and we want to pay you for doing this. And that's great and fine and dandy, but man, what if I don't like the widget? What if I would never buy this? I can't steer my audience wrong and just use some sort of garbage product or garbage accessory or just whatever, So I've really tried to stay true to high quality content, food wise, high quality content, cooker wise, high quality content, accessory wise. All of the things that I use and the tools that I use in my toolbox, I've purchased many of them and would buy all of them, just because they're a quality product.
I totally agree with you on that. And I had this conversation, with several people, even on the podcast, where, anytime you have a YouTube channel or any kind of social media presence, you get people that, will send you stuff all the time. And, I've taken some stuff and I tell them, look, you can send me something. I'll look at it. If I like it and I'm going to use it, I'll use it. But if it's junk, I'm going to say it's junk and I won't use it. So I usually, like you, I choose and pick who I want to deal with. Like I deal with Camp Chef because I loved and knew their products before I approached them, and Kamado Joe. I had bought my own Kamado Joe and used that before I even approached them to work with them to any extent. Anybody I work with or I use, or you see me, doing a demo on, I would buy that product and use it myself. I don't buy junk. I don't use junk. I don't endorse junk. It's just people, your people will not follow you if every other week you got some other piece of crap you're trying to hawk to them,
What cracks me up is when you get the email and you say no, I'm not going to use that, or no, I'm not interested or whatever. And then the campaign launches and you see who's using it. It's really sort of eye opening.
Well, how many Z grills did when Z grills,
right?
Everybody was using a Z grill on YouTube. It was like, all right, what's the one guy that's in Nashville? He's all of a sudden he's using a Z grill, but every other week he's using something else. It's like, I'm not taking a Z grill because it's a piece of junk, and I'm not gonna, just because you're sending me a free piece of junk, I'm not gonna, do a video on it. So
high quality, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, people are gonna know. If every other week you got some piece of crap and you're trying to get them to buy it, and then the other 2 weeks down the road, you got somebody else sent you something else and you're trying to hawk that, it's just, people will go, this guy's not really, honest,
Yeah. I'd rather be transparent and just tell everybody.
All right. So that's how Big Green Craig got going and kind of made a name for yourself. So besides the Big Green Egg though, what else have you cooked on? What else do you like to cook on? What else is in the back? The Thunderdome, the Big Green Craig's Thunderdome.
Yeah, man. So my first branch out, I think from the egg was Kamado Joe. So right now there's a Big Joe out back. The thing about people, that's the $1 million question. Well, what's better? Which one do you like better? And here's the deal, man. There's an old saying that it's the Indian and not necessarily the arrow.
Right.
And think about it, is a ceramic cooker is a ceramic cooker, whether you're cooking on a clay pot or you've got a Big Green Egg or a Kamado Joe or whatever the other ones are. And it's they get you from point A to point B. The quality of the food that comes off of it, the product is, I mean, you put it, taste test them. You'll never know. You'll never know the difference. It all just comes down, which one do you want to drive? And, you want one with power steering and a moonroof and electric this and electric that, or you just want the standard roll-up windows and, manual transmission. So, I mean, it just depends on what you want to do.
Yeah, I wasn't really trying to get into the brand comparisons because I'm with you on that. I don't get involved in the Ford versus Chevy type stuff, right? Because people will, no matter what, they'll be in love with their brand. I like things, certain brands that I like for a particular reason, not just because it's that.
Sure.
I mean, like Cam Chef, I like them because of the ash clean out, and I could point to you 10 different things why I like something, but I'm not going to get involved with the whole Ford versus Chevy, all that garbage.
Yeah.
What I was trying to get at is what other, besides the ceramic grill, do you have on there? Do you use a pellet grill? Do you use a gasser? Do you use any other kind of like a pit barrel cooker or anything else there?
All right, sure. So I got a shout out to my boys, Rectech, a fantastic, amazing quality pellet grill. Look, man, I've cooked on them all, dude. There's a certain brand out there that I cook on in my travels, and every time I cook on them, it catches fire, and it's orange fire if you're picking up what I'm laying down. And
trigger.
Trigger. I wasn't getting into it. But no,
Chad Ward's not here, so we don't have to care.
They're fine people, man, and I'm sure they have a good product, and maybe the ones I'm using out there on my travels aren't well maintained. I don't know, but I've not had good success with them. But the Rectech, man, they're 100% stainless steel. They're built like a tank. They're fantastic cookers. Now you're going back to talking about the toolbox. The Rectech, in my personal opinion, a pellet grill is it's a smoker and it's not a grill. Now, people are out there and they're trying to say, we can, we'll add a set of grill grates on there and you'll increase your temperature to get some, some grill marks, but it's not a grill, man. It's a smoker. I love them all. They're all the Rectech smokers are fantastic. But it's for me, it's a 350. It's a 350, 350 degrees down is its sweet spot, man. Because you get hotter than that, you're not going to have any smoke. All you're going to have is heat, and at that point it turns into a basic oven. But there's a couple of Rectechs out there. There's a new Rectech coming out that's out there that is really going to take off. I think it's going to be a good one for everybody. Another tool in the tool chest is the beefer. Have you seen the beefer?
Yeah, the Auto Wild, the beefer. There's a few different ones out there. Heck, there's even one that I don't know if you were on YouTube at all, but Tom Horseman found some little knockoff that was like $120 at Menards or something. But I know what it is. Yeah, it's the steak cooker thing. Yeah,
I've seen quite a few, and what we're talking about for people who don't know is basically it's a backyard. All the restaurants have salamanders where it's a broiler. They're melting your cheese. They're searing your steak. They're doing whatever. But it's a backyard salamander broiler essentially that gets up to 1,500 degrees. Man, I've seen a lot of them at shows and everything. And man, when parts are falling off and they're having to fix stuff, it's not cool, man. But I'm telling you, the beefer is solid. So I'm rocking a couple beefers out there. In my mind, I'm going around the area out there. I do have a Rectech came out with a Santa Maria style grill called the Wild Side. What's different in this Santa Maria style than anybody else is it's got a built-in fan much like RecTech, everything else is electric, so you can plug it in. That fan will stoke your fire, help fire it up, help get it hotter faster. You can always cut that fan off. But man, it's like I said earlier, man, I'm a pyro. I love playing with fire. So to see that fire, flicker up and kiss whatever it's cooking on top of there, and being able to wheel it up and wheel it down, and that's really a fun cooker to cook on. Some of the newer additions to the Thunderdome, there's an Alpha wood-fired pizza oven out there. It's made in Italy, Italian fire bricks. I have the Allegro. It's the big boy. It's supposed to be able to fit 4 pizzas at one time. My problem is I'm not the Italian pizza guy. So by the time I can't get them all in before the first one started to get turned and come out. And so I'm comfortable right now with about 2, but maybe I'll get better this weekend. But that's a lot of fun. And I'm surprised. In my mind, you throw a bunch of fire in there and a bunch of logs in there, and to my mind is, it automatically goes up to 900 degrees, and you're cooking Napolitano style pizzas, and that's it. Man, that thing there, it's a little bit of a fire management thing, but you can control that oven. You can roast some. I've roasted some ducks in it. You can roast some chickens. You can bake lasagnas. I mean, you can literally tailor that temperature to be any sort of oven, transferable indoor oven to outdoor oven sort of recipe. And it's really been a fun learning piece of equipment as far as fire management goes that way.
Yeah, my buddy John Setzler's got one of those, and he even did a pork butt on one, just to see if he could do it. I mean,
sure.
Those are fun things to. What about a flat top, like a Blackstone or a Camp Chef 600?
I do. I have the Blackstone 36. It's fine. It's a lot of cleanup. Normally I'm just used to scraping stuff and just dumping it into the fire and letting the fire take care of it. But it's a little bit more cleanup than I care for. But it's a nice tool to have. My daughters absolutely love smash burgers, and I see all these guys smashing them on top of the flat top and everything, and that's cool. But the way that I do it is I put them in. I sandwich it with wax paper in between my tortilla press. So the burger may come out, the raw burger may be that big, but time it's all said and done, it shrinks up to regular size. But you can get them super, super, super thin that way. Yeah, I'm rocking that. I do have another flat top style of grill. It's more of a European plancha. It's called O-Fire from Netherlands. And essentially it's a 40-inch round, half-inch thick steel plate with a 25-inch, 26-inch hole in the center that's fire-driven. Everything is live fire. You fill the fire, you build a fire in the hole in the middle, and then you push all the fire outside underneath that plancha, and now you've got a 40-inch round plancha. So it's very much I'm not going to fire that up for my wife and I. It's just not the fun factor. It's just me out there cooking and that's it. But the fun factor is fantastic when you've got a huge group of people. If you've ever been to Melting Pot, where you fondue and stuff, they bring all the stuff prepped to your table and you sort of cook it. So what I'll do is I'll have everything prepped and ready to go. And now it's all right. Pick your little, your 12 or 14 inches on the plancha, and here you go. You cook your own dinner, and I'll manage the fire. Y'all cook your dinner, and we'll do vegetables and proteins and whatever. And it's a lot of fun.
Is that something like the Art of Flame is supposed to be, where the fire's in the middle and you got their little cooking area all around, right? It
is, and once you're in the grilling sort of industry, you start learning that at one point everybody's worked for somebody else, and that's how all these competitors get around.
Yeah, somebody will go, well, I created a new one, but they took where they used to work and they added something to it or changed something just a little bit, Yeah, just like, Kamado Joe, he admits, he loved his Big Green Egg and decided he wanted to change it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's just how. Now let's talk about that a little bit too, because you've been around a little while too, and you've seen a lot of the changes that have come in the barbecue outdoor cooking area in the last 10 years. It's phenomenal to me to see the amount of change, because I'm like you. I grew up where it was either you had a gas grill or a little like Weber charcoal grill, and that was pretty much it. I grew up in upstate New York. There wasn't a whole lot of barbecue. It was like you threw some hot dogs on, maybe some chicken, and that was it. But nowadays there's so many different types and styles of cookers, and with the onset of all the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth controllers, with this, not just the pellet grills, but the little controllers you can stick on the Big Green Eggs and ceramic grills and whatnot, that where you can actually monitor your cook from the store while you're out buying stuff. How do you see all this stuff going on?
Well, I think pigeonholing that strictly to grilling is impossible. Right now, we're in the age of hobbies, and I've got a couple other hobbies. I play I play league tournament cornhole, and then I was also into firearms for a while. And I tell you this, man, just like the grilling world, the world's your oyster, man. You can spend, you can get into your hobby with $100 in your pocket, and the next thing you know, you're in 10 grand in anything. It's easy to do. And that's great for us, because us as grillers and barbecue guys, because now we have access to all these cool gadgets and tools and accessories and things to make our life easier. There's accessories that have there's a guy on YouTube calls them, they have the cool factor. Hey, I may not need that, but man, the cool factor is just, it's really cool. I'm in the butcher shop one day, and my wife calls me. She goes, "We have a problem." What's the problem? One of your grills just started up and started smoking, and I don't know what to do. I wanted to go out and unplug it, but I wanted to get with you first. And I go, "No, I'm in line, and I just remote started the cooker." How awesome is that? This is a fantastic age to live in and be in. And with all this new technology, it just makes me excited I'm a newest and hottest type of guy, and I can't wait to see what happens. And you go to these trade shows, and you see some of the new stuff and the prototypes and everything that's coming out, and man, it's going to be cool. If nothing else, yeah, you're going to get to eat some good stuff, but man, to see fire go a certain direction, or see, hey, you're telling me I can remote start this or that, or it's just really cool. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think it brings a lot more people into backyard cooking that normally wouldn't. Like especially like with the pellet grills. They are smokers, but the easy, they make it a lot easier for people to be more comfortable, instead of thinking, well, I got to go get a charcoal, I got to light it, I got to do all this stuff. I can just turn it on like I do my oven, and monitor it from inside while I'm watching the game, So I think it's drawn a lot more people into outdoor cooking that wouldn't before, or just kind of held back before.
Oh, absolutely. A couple of my friends were like, well, I just don't, to your point, I just don't know, my brother. It's as, cooking on a pellet grill is some things is as easy as, putting gas in a car and driving. You put gas in your car, you push the pedal to the metal. How fast do you want to go? It really is pretty simple. And that's really, why I've gotten to the fire management game. And that's, I'm really loving different cooking ways, different cooking methods, different cooking fuels and sources. And it's really been a lot of fun.
Yeah, but those people now that are starting to get more comfortable out on the patio, then they start looking at people like you and me and go, how can I start doing a little bit more? Because now I got my
Oh
feet wet.
yeah.
I got my toes in the water now, and I like the kind of how the water feels. So I want to
Yeah.
start expanding it. And all of a sudden now they're trying to do some of the stuff that me and you do, you know, and trying some of the recipes we put out, or, you know, so yeah, I think it's good. It's all this technology and stuff. It's a great thing for what's going on in the backyard. I'm a big guy. I used to be into, you know, electronics. I've been to the CES shows, and like you said, you know, like you went to the HPB, you know, show where, like you're talking about, where you got all the new technology. But that's what it reminds me of, is the CES shows, the computer electronics shows out in Vegas. I mean, you just walk around and look at all the new stuff that's come out and go, wow, I
Yeah.
can't believe that, you know? So,
Man, I've got more wives mad at me across the world than you would even imagine, man. When I meet these people at an event, I either get punched in the arm from a wife saying, why did you know, you made my husband buy this, or I get the hug saying, thanks so much. You know, my husband told me that Craig's got one and I got to have one too. And we absolutely love the food that it produces. And so it goes both ways. But, you know, we're talking about hobbies, man. I don't golf. You know, I got all these neighbors that go out and spend, you know, a couple $100 every weekend, you know, golfing at some, you know, tournament or golfing at a country club, or maybe I got one of my buddies shoots skeet. I don't do any of that, man. So I go to the butcher shop, I buy something I've never bought before, I bring it home, we fire it up, and everybody gets to, and hey, at least everybody gets to enjoy what I'm doing, you know,
right.
versus going out, you know, and you know, hitting 18. It's a little bit different.
Exactly. You're not, you know, losing $20 worth of golf balls and spending $30 to, you know, have the pleasure of golfing on the, you know, more than that, $30. What am I? I'm dating myself. $30. It's, you know, 130 bucks. I'm in Florida, and all the golf courses here are, you know, especially during the wintertime, are 150 bucks. So.
Oh yeah.
But I totally agree. I mean, it's like you said before, you know, everybody has their hobbies and what they want to do. And, you know, this type of hobby, at least you can make a lot of other people happy. I mean, I'm known as, you know, like with the church groups and, you know, family, is the guy who's always cooking something, you know. So if I'm going to a potluck, they know I'm bringing, you know, something, you know, that they don't get at home. So they're always like, what are you bringing? You know, you know, I walk in the door with whatever I'm carrying, and they're all following me going, I'm getting what you got, because I know it's good. So, but that's always a good problem to have.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we talked a little bit about the different cooking methods. I don't want to go back into that, because, you know, you like me, you like to experiment, you like to do different things and all that. So, but what I want to talk about before we start running out of time is, you do have a book coming out, and this is your first book you put out, correct?
Yes, it is. I've got a cookbook coming out. It's a Kamado cookbook. In the cookbook, I use 4 different Kamado cookers. I use a Big Green Egg. I use a Kamado Joe. There's a Gorilla Kong, and there's also a Slow and Sear Kamado cooker that's all used in the book. Everything is live fire charcoal cooking. There's a chapter in there covering basics, barbecue basics, I guess, brisket, ribs, chicken, turkey. Oh, there it is there. I was wondering what's happening. There it is. Yeah, book's called Mastering the Big Green Egg. It's an operator's manual and cookbook. So it's very, very, very heavy up front on the fire management. We talked about fire management a little bit earlier. So fire management, how to build your fire, how to light your fire, how to set things up, how to clean, how to maintain, it's the unwritten owner's manual to all things Kamado cooking. There it is right there. Ken, I had the great fortune of working with Ken Goodman. For if you don't know Ken Goodman, he shot, he's exclusively, I think, cookbook photography and music photography. He shot Danielle Bennett's Diva Q's book. He shot Tuffy Stone's book. When he left my place, he was headed to Chicago. He was going to shoot Jeff Morrow, the Sandwich King of Chicago. He was going to shoot his book, and fantastic guy. Loved working with him. We shot. It was all such a blur. We shot 40 recipes in 4 days. So I had 4 cookers cooking nonstop. 7 a.m. to whenever the light went down, and we got them all in the can, thank goodness. But yeah, this is my first book. I've told everybody, look, man, people are saying, well, you know, I'm not a beginner. Will I benefit for this book? Yeah, absolutely, yes. Skip all the words in the front and go straight to the recipes in the back. You'll you'll love them. There's a recipe just on a chapter just on sandwiches. I call it In Between the Buns. And there's pastrami tri-tip sandwiches, there's burgers, there's chicken sandwiches, there's Asian bao buns. I mean, you know, from start to finish, there's unbelievable sandwiches in there. Then there's a baking section. You know, I show everybody my pizza dough recipes, my Chicago deep dish. There's some desserts. There's I love to cook seafood. So there's a huge seafood section in there. And here's a funny little story for you. I had a conference call with the publisher, and we're going over the table of content and the recipes and whatever. And while I'm on the phone with them, an email pops up and we're looking at the table of contents, and they had scratched out one of my recipes. And it was one of my favorite recipes. It was cioppino, the Italian American fisherman stew from the West Coast. It's sort of like a catch-all for seafood, and they said to me, you know, yeah, we scratched that one out. And I just said to him, I said, well, you know, the funny part is, you know, from day one, you've told me this is my book. Yo, it's your book, it's your book, it's your book. And I said to him, I said, well, my book would have the cioppino recipe in it. And it wasn't a minute or so later, and here comes a new email up, and they had put it back into the table of contents. So, you know, everybody, if you buy the book, you got to go make that cioppino recipe.
That's fun.
But, yeah, it's exciting, man, and it's a lot of work went into it. I talked to some people, good friends of mine who have written cookbooks before, and one of them said, you know, as soon as you turn in your manuscript, you're going to immediately think, man, I wish I would have done that different. I wish I would have done that different. And I'm right there, but it's one of those deals where I could have spent 5 years as a perfectionist trying to perfect whatever it is. And just, you know, the deadline came, and it's hot on the press right this second, my man. So that's where it is.
Well, I'm going to link to it in, you know, for Amazon on the podcast description, and also on the YouTube video when this comes out. So
well, I appreciate that.
People will be able to click on it and get it. I mean, it's looks like it's a very extensive book. I've talked to several people that have written books. You know, Greg Mervich from Ballistic Barbecue. He's written a couple books now. He's got another one coming out soon. I've talked to you know, several people that have written them, and the first one they said is like, it's nowhere near what they thought it was going to be. You know, it's intense. You know, the intensity. You know, they always kind of think, well, I'll write a book. You know, it's easy. Just they see people like in movies, just, you know, type it wrong, do whatever, do it whatever you want to, and you know, when it's done, it's done. But you know, it's not like that.
Yeah, Greg actually told me. I've met up with Greg a few times. He's going to do a recipe out of the book for his YouTube channel, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm not sure which one yet, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, man, I tell you, you know, the easiest way to entice me not to do something is to put a due date on it. And, you know, you just, life happens and deadlines move, and you know, we moved several times on this one here. But yeah, May 12th is the hard date. It should be out.
That's great. But I see you did go back to the Big Green Craig moniker on that. Is that just because of the name recognition?
Yeah, I think when you're in the Kamado world, I think Big Green Craig, you know, is an authority. You know, I mean, it's a track record. It's a you know, you say Big Green Craig, and that's a resume in itself. You know, so we did that for a reason. And you know, that's fine. And I still wear my Big Green Craig garb and everything, but you know, just got to the point where I felt like people
you were pigeonholed.
Well, I'm pigeonholed a little bit, and at the same time, I'm trying to think in my head how to say some certain things the right way. but so many folks thought that I actually worked for Big Green Egg or had some sort of affiliate, and
Right.
just that just wasn't never the case. And it was just always I was an enthusiast and loved the cooker. And I'll tell you this, man, I'd much rather move around a couple drum cookers any day of the week than to move a ceramic grill.
I'll tell you what, that's right. I guarantee you the ceramic grills are not something you want to be, moving around to a competition unless you have them, nailed to a trailer or something.
Right. So yeah, it really wasn't it wasn't a huge moniker change or change up or there's no ill will or anything along that lines in the name change. It was just to associate with a brand and a cooker that there is no association with, was just kind of, I finally realized that was just not needed.
Yeah, it's like, you're not Ray Lampe, who was getting paid for a number of years by Big Green Egg, and now he's not. So he's finally, they had I guess after 17 years, he was on barbecue podcast, Greg Rempe's podcast a couple of weeks ago, and said that they're no longer together, kind of thing, but he still loves the product. But yeah, if people associate you working for Big Green Egg and you really don't, you just love the grill, I can kind of see where you want to kind of just not really part ways, but just say, hey, look, I love the Big Green Egg, but I'm not getting paid. I don't work for them or anything like that. So
yeah, and I'm still doing their events. I had I don't know, 4 or 5 events up to this point this year on the books already. And of course, I don't know what's the date on the timeline. Is this going to be live or soon or whatever? But
this is going to be like the first week in May.
So we're right now we're under quarantine from the coronavirus, and so anything and everything, sporting events and everything is, especially barbecue get-togethers and events, and are all just shut down right now. So anxious to see how that's really sort of put a cramp in my style as far as this book launch goes, but we'll see how that works out. But hey, hopefully they get everything scheduled back. We're talking major events. Memphis in May is rescheduled. There's some other big barbecue stuff that's going to have to be rescheduled later in the fall. So we'll see how that all works out.
So have you ever done any of the SCA state cook-offs?
I haven't yet. I did get my membership, and I'm planning on doing one. I'm going to go to Orlando. Here's the thing about all this competition style stuff, man. I live in Atlanta. Atlanta's a huge, humongous metropolitan area. In all of Georgia, we probably have, I think, 2 KCBS, maybe 3 KCBS sanctioned events, and not a single, maybe 1 SCA event in the whole state. So I'm gonna have to travel outside a little bit. So I'm gonna 2 birds with 1 stone it, and I'm gonna head down to Orlando and see my buddy Chris Gentry down there at his shop, and he's gonna do a double header coming up. Don't quote me on the date, but I think it's in September sometime. But I'm a member, and I definitely plan on getting down there and doing it.
Definitely, yeah. That's about the only thing I'm really tempted on doing, because I'm not one to want to do a barbecue cook-off, a competition where you have to spend 2 or 3 days, and that's just not me. I'm not a competition type guy for some reason. It never excited me. I like going and watching them and participating and buying good barbecue and eating it. But I'm not one to, especially just, I know that competition cooking is a lot different than, eating, cooking. It's not like what you cook for your family. And everybody, right. Even Malcolm Reed and his wife told me, there's eating barbecue and then there's competition barbecue. So, they're just totally different things. So, the people that do it, that's more power to them. They're great. They can teach us some great things. And I love talking about that stuff, but I don't, feel I need to go compete with anything. That's like Meathead.
Well,
I talked to Meathead Goldwyn, and he goes, I got nothing to win if I go to a competition, but everything to lose, because they always expect, somebody like Meathead to win, and if he doesn't win, there goes his reputation, because I'll go be a judge, but I'm not going to go compete,
Well, that's the thing, I'd love to sit down and talk to these competition guys, and not really talk about competition barbecue, but talk about, okay, if I'm doing an event, that means I got to have all my equipment cleaned and ready to go Wednesday. I got to do all of my chicken prep Thursday. You roll into the event Friday morning, and then you roll in these, some of these rigs are 80, 90, $100,000. And, where does that, are you independently wealthy and have no schedule? Or, I'd love to know that side. Like barbecue's cool and it's a weekend thing, but how about real life, Monday through Friday?
Well, yeah. And then, the Friday night, you're selling barbecue to the people that are coming there. You're not really, right. You may have some little side competition going on, but you got most of the people that are there with you. They're selling the barbecue, trying to make money for the event. We have a big one here in Lakeland where, right outside where I live. And, I went, there was a couple months ago, right before this all kind of happened. It was like one of the last ones around here, and went there Friday night, and it was packed. I mean, there was a ton of people there, but they're not competing that night. They're doing, they got one or two guys that are working on the little, ancillary competition, but they're selling barbecue. They're selling, everything, so there's a ton of people that are buying barbecue. They're not really competing. So.
Well, I planned on cooking, teaming up with a buddy and cooking Memphis in May this year. And obviously that's rescheduled. So we're going to look at the calendar to see if when they get that rescheduled and if I can make it and do that. But, the goal is, to sit here and spend all this time and effort on, a box of 6 ribs. And it's a lot of time and effort and money to spend, So my focus was going to be, if you're talking about ancillary, as far as Memphis and May goes, I was going to run all the ancillary, and run the seafood turn-ins and run the anything but turn-ins and stuff like that. But I don't know. We're going to have to reschedule that. Maybe that's a 2021 event now. So we'll see how that plays out.
Well, this episode will probably go live right about the time your book comes out. So it's going to hit. It's going to hit right there when people can actually go and order your book. So I want to thank you for being on. I mean, I think it was great. We got to know who you are, what you do, and all that. And people are going to look forward to your book. I look forward to it. I'm going to order it as soon as it comes out on the Kindle version, because I like the Kindles now. I don't like to have actual paper, but it's going to be in both paperback and Kindle on Amazon. So make sure you guys check out Big Green Craig, the Big Green Egg, Big Green Craig, Mastering the Big Green Egg book on Amazon. Now, Craig, do you have a social media outlets and all that? Do you have your own website?
Yeah, I'm pretty much everywhere, and it's at Craig Tabor. Website is craigtabor.com. For the longtime followers, you can still punch in biggreencraig.com, and it'll link you right where you need to go.
Well, I'll put links to your website and Facebook and all that too.
Awesome.
In the description, and also on the and YouTube and the podcast, so people can find you. But thanks for being on. Anything else you want to talk about before we let you go and be with your family?
Just looking forward to where barbecue is taking us. I've sort of used all this quarantine time to do some unique things that have been on my to-do list that I never have had time to do. So I'm making sourdough bread, and I'm cooking hot sauce and fermenting stuff, and so we'll see how all that works out. But I appreciate you having me, Darren, and look forward to the future.
All right, we look forward to your book, and thanks again for being on. And make sure you follow us on the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast, the Fire and Water YouTube channel, and Fire and Water Facebook. Check us out. Thanks again. See you on the next one.